We'll see how the balance changes are going to affect the vertical tree overall, and especially how they compare with things like Siphon and the Whispers tree, especially. Nidalee with a sword, production knows what they're doing. They know how to get me ready for this game.
I was gonna say, everyone really catering to David this game. Number one, the Nidalee reroll, a potential composition once again. I was worried, I don't know about you, as a Nidalee reroll stan yourself, that we wouldn't be seeing it a whole lot this set.
Yeah, Nidalee, I mean, we haven't really. And the time we did, it was copium mostly. I think ever since the 3-star AD percentage changes at the end of 6.5, it hasn't really been playable unless you have a very good start for it. I saw Sestino playing a bit on ladder on Wednesday, but that was when he had those, beast end starts, the featherweight starts, the combat training starts with Nidalee. Those can be very strong, but you have to have very specific stuff working out for you. And it's going to be Electric Overload for the Mirage, not one of the strongest ones that has been buffed recently from 8% to 9%, I believe. Is that correct, Niberia? I'm pretty sure this graphic might be wrong.
Believe so, yeah. We're going to be seeing Sestrino starting 3 Dark Flight right off the bat. I know Counterfeit has been a fan of this, was spamming this all the way back at the start of the set on PBE, so I'm sure he's going to be happy for that. And the Astral start. I think it's important to go over this one for the newer players, people still getting into the meta. This has been one of those real strong economic engines for the early game, David.
It has been changed recently, though. There is a higher chance of getting gold instead of units, making it so that it is a little bit harder to guarantee those two-star one costs for stage 2 that usually make you very strong, but also, having great econ as well. Basecamp is an option here. Basecamp very strong, but it has been nerfed recently as well from 8% to 7%, but was one of the best performing augments in the last patch. It looks like Sestrino instead going to go for the Portable Forge and going to try and build around Dark Flights for now.
Well, how do you feel about Obsidian Cleaver overall as we see the choices that Leitzu is going to make? Because I feel like during the last set and previous iterations of Living Forge, it hasn't really made that much of a mark. Is it just that Aphelios is really strong with it right now?
I think you have to have the right unit to make it shine, really. You can't just slam it onto anything. It's not maybe as versatile as other Portable Forge items or other augment picks in general, but if you have the right setup, it can be very strong.
Oh, I love this. Gear upgrades coming in. So free items will abound here for Leitzu as they're going to be staying on level 3. So looking at econ and a little bit of a loss streak.
And right away, the Rengar early is going to be very strong. It's just very good. One of those very good carry units. 3-cost units that actually get things done in stage 2, especially when itemized Giant Slayer coming in. A little bit early for Giant Slayer, but if you're trying to slam something, it's definitely viable. Especially in a meta where now all of a sudden pretty much every single dragon is playable. Shio-Yu is once again playable, which means the Giant Slayer has that much more value going into the late game.
I want to point out as well this really cute synergy that Sestrino is taking advantage of right here, because the Portable Forge items can't be converted into anything by Darkflight. They automatically turn into the Emblem, which was talked about on the desk and previously in previous discussions amongst the team as one of the strongest options in the meta right now for a Darkflight composition.
And there's possibly a change coming in. Gold being received instead of a unit, instead of a possible upgrade on that Vlad for Ice Flume. Still caught in between this Astral start and maybe going into Warrior. You have a Wukong too, who did also get a buff, not this patch, but the one before that. So Jade overall in the last 2 patches, if you look at all the different changes, has been getting buffs here and there, and suddenly they might be amounting to something into this new patch.
It's been really fun for me watching the last couple of patch notes because it really feels like Mort and Kent are like, please, somebody just play Jade. It's right there. Somebody just touch it. I promise we can sell it to you.
And level 5 for Ice Flume, trying to defend what could be a win streak, or maybe just trying to fit in more units to get the win streak going for now for stage 2. I think with Astral, you feel a little bit less bad about missing econ thresholds because you know you're going to get that gold anyway through the Astral straight all throughout stages 2 and 3.
And I'm going to be looking as we head towards the carousel. Of course, one of the most important things coming into the early game of TFT is the maintenance of those streaks. If you're able to full streak in either direction, going all the way into Krugs, you are set up absolutely magnificently for late game. But if you're unable to maintain them, get to that 5-win streak, things are going to be a lot more difficult economically.
A bit unfortunate here, another gold, doesn't get the upgrade on the Vlad, has a Nidalee from shop, so now 2 pairs. Doesn't quite have the combat power he would like to have if going to 5, if trying to defend a win streak by losing out on those econ thresholds, and can't really slam this RFC either, so a bit of an awkward spot despite the good augment for just direct combat strength in stage 2. everything else isn't really working out just yet. If he wins this round, it's going to be quite big because he might end up getting those key upgrades in the next round after this one.
We're going to run into Darkest Board, though, and they're going to be running second win, which makes things a little bit dangerous here for Ice Loom, because that does give so much power, but a great ultimate from Varus is going to guarantee Ice Loom's streak will continue.
Looks like a great backline for Darkest, but just too weak of a front line. Ended up, getting killed off immediately in the Senna, despite being a Senna 2. Couldn't really deal that DPS because she was essentially the front line after that. And the win for Ice Loom is going to be massive. Is going to make 10 in the end. Going to sell off the Ezreal, going to sell off the Sejuani, and going to try and just focus on this Astral Tree he has now, alongside maybe that Wukong.
Looking down at the bottom of the board, I'm concerned a little bit about Waga. Of course, we're going for that 80 health mark, which is not bad if you're going for a full loss streak. I do want to point that out, but it is going to be a concern if it continues all the way into stage 3. You've got to be able to turn that round, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes on it as we head past that PvE round.
There was a Varus with the cloak, has been taken away. Could have been a good build if you get that lucky third Varus in the case of Ice Loom, for example. A Varus too early on with maybe a Runan's Hurricane build would have been fantastic for him, but not going to be the case just yet. A lot of units on the bench, a lot of gold to work with now for Waga. We'll see what he ends up building here. Has a prep, so this means he is going to prepare himself for potentially a very strong stage 3 by just sacking stage 2 in the process, playing units that he isn't really going to play in the future, and just guaranteeing the 4 stacks right now, and the units he might, it might be the direction he actually leans into for stage 3.
Yeah, I really like this. He's going for the double Guardian composition at the moment and using Yone as a carry. You're seeing him keep that unitemized Yone on the bench to get all of those preparation stacks, because once it combines, that will follow on to the 2-star unit. So suddenly, coming into stage 3, like you said, when he's looking to turn it around, he's going to have a Yone with massive bonus stats.
Despite the nerfs to the Astral, we're still seeing a whole lot of Astral. I think it's at least 3 players going for this opener. It was all the craze in the last set. But what was also all the craze in Iberia was the Zipster with Sunfire Cape. Fantastic at spreading that damage all around the backline, the front line, pretty much all around the board. But we mentioned it. Zipster 1, stage 2 great.
I was going to say.
Stage 3 a bit iffy. You want to find that Zipster 2 as soon as possible.
And I think it's important to note, looking at the board, Sestrino, this next round, I think, is going to decide the pace of this lobby. If you're able to full streak and you're the only one going to full streak, you're going to have a massive economic advantage, and that's going to put a lot of downward pressure onto the lobby to make them power up their boards, while you're going to have this massive economic advantage and not yourself feel particularly pressured. So this next round decides a lot for the rest of the game.
Most of the hard work has been done. 2 Rengars found already, only 1 away from a massive upgrade, as well as one of the 3-cost assassins, Diana, has been found as well, if you want to lean heavily into the assassin tree, unlike the past where it was mostly just cannoneers.
Where do you expect this to go in the later stages of the game? Is he going to stick on this Rengar, go for a little bit of a Swain focus?
Gonna depend mostly on the augments that he gets, especially in stage 3. I think that'll definitely put him in one direction or another. But Swain overall has definitely been is now all of a sudden playable compared to past versions of Darkflight, and can stall enough for this Rengar to do work alongside other assassins. Essentially, throw back to the set 6.5, set 6 assassin comps with Katarina and Talon. You didn't really have to have a fantastic frontline, just a frontline that stalled enough time for the assassins to just do their thing and kill off the backline carries.
And looking at the health on the side, it looks like our 2 players that we highlighted are going to be very happy with their results for this stage. Waka full loss streaking down to 64 HP, getting close to that danger zone, but this is a result we'd expect. And Sestrino on the other side of the board, the only player to successfully streak every single round. So both of them looking very economically strong.
Ice Loom, a player that we talked about, went level 5 quite early, I think, ended up getting another loss along the way, now at 92 HP. Makes sense. I think he didn't quite get the upgrades he needed to continue that win streak, to be confident that he would be able to take it all the way to Krugs in this case, but still a very good place to be, 92 HP. Fairly good in terms of the econ, has 25 gold there. Might be able to sell off a few units and get in that 30 econ threshold before the Krugs round is over. Seraphine now an option, not so much in this comp. And talking about Seraphine Iberia, Seraphine 3 did get a massive nerf coming into this patch. I think Seraphine 2 is still playable. But that combo's all over the place. I think now it will be a bit more balanced, playable, but you have to have kind of more specific things that are making you go into that direction.
Yeah, that Seraphine Graves combo was just dominating all of solo queue because of the massive shielding she was able to put out, keeping the entire team up. And now we're headed over to SH's board. Like you mentioned, one of the two Great Britain competitors here, one of Counterfeit's very own countrymen. Looks like they're having a little bit of a rough time.
Very good gold star, though. Pretty rich for this stage in the game for SH. I think it is the first tournament they are playing in Golden Patch the Cup, so maybe it might be, a big day for this player, but also overall you have to be considering things like, the pressure, things like nerves, for example, knowing that you're going to be on stream in game one, especially right away as soon as the tournament starts, not having a chance to kind of maybe, get into the flow of things a little bit. This being very different to a ladder game, for example.
Ooh. Interesting option here. I'd like to see where trade sector goes, but it never is. I'm so sad every time, David. I'm just like, ooh, trade sector. See some reroll strats, but they just really are not having a good time this set.
We're going to see Ice Loom, where he's able to go with this. Ends up getting
boy.
last stand. We have the Varus pair. We have the Hurricane build. Swift Shot has been performing pretty well. Zipster is in as well. So Ice Loom, a little bit all over the place with the direction he's going, but we'll see what he ends up, getting into. It could just be Xayah. Xayah is definitely still playable, despite the new trend being playing Guild with other dragons, for example. Xayah is still very much a thing, and definitely we'll be seeing a lot of her in top 4 lobbies all throughout this tournament.
David, talk to me really quick about this last stand, because this is an augment we don't see very frequently. The last time we saw it was a previous competition with Odessa, and it didn't go great for him.
I'll be honest, Iberia, there has not been a single game in my career in TFT where I have picked last stand, so I'm not sure I can give you any first-hand experience. Overall, the augments that are just a little bit too out there, I'm like, no, this is too crazy. I'm not going to get an 8th all of a sudden and tank my LP. I'm going to stay safe, pick Celestial Blessing. So I can't give you a first-hand experience, but this can be a learning experience for us both, Iberia. We'll see if it is the correct decision and if we actually see it pulled off in a tournament where it can have some success.
Yeah, because in theory, it's going to be really powerful in those 1v1 situations because it is going to turn those fights in your favor. Massive amounts of stats prevents you from dying for one turn. So in theory, it can give you a lot, but you're skipping out on a combat augment, you're skipping out on any kind of economic augment. So as a result, you're losing power in the interim. So we see a Scale Scorn emblem heading on to Darkest board.
One of the stronger emblems in this set, and I think definitely a way that now you can find more direction. You have some Fire Cave built on Zippy. You have a lot of the guild comp online, but definitely not too late to pivot into some form of a skill scorn comp, especially because now you can play dragons with skill scorn. That was the big difference coming to this patch.
I wonder if at this point you just toss in, replace that Sejuani with something like a Lilia, keep that Cavalier running if that's something you're interested in the later stages of the game, then just toss Scale Scorn on whoever you want to carry.
Of course, going into Scale Scorn a little bit later is detrimental if you're playing as with Olaf as kind of the star of the show, but it's not always the case. You can build into other units. You don't really have to scale all throughout stages 2 and 3. There have been very good games with Diana as well that you can, itemize her, get her a 3-star, and still have an assassin angle with maybe Rengar as well nowadays. So we'll see exactly what the player is able to do and what direction they end up going in. Jace with the cloak has been nerfed recently. Maybe we haven't really touched on this, but no longer does that crazy amount of CC. The Rage Wing comp overall is no longer this, constant flow of CC from Hecarim and Jace and Shyvana. It's now a little bit different compared to the last patch.
Well, and we've started even seeing Jace backline carry a little bit more, starting him in the backline and looking for a little bit more damage instead of the exclusively tank sets we saw on him previously. So that's an option. I'm especially thinking of that guild composition posted to the competitive TFT subreddit that I totally didn't tank like 7 games with yesterday. It was super successful for me. I'm like Giga Challenger now. It's fantastic.
We'll see what Lates is trying to roll for here. Finds another Jace, finds a Zippy, a fantastic shop here. Varus 2 as well. Finds the Jace 2 at level 7. That is some fantastic odds for him. Found one off the carousel, found 2 off of the natural rolls. Has tanked his econ all the way down to 0. But maybe he's strong enough where that doesn't really matter just yet. Would have loved to have that Zippy 2 though at this point.
Yeah, Jace is nerfed, but he's still one of the strongest 4 costs, especially compared to a Zippy 1. I suspect he's going to be doing a lot of work this game.
Various no items though. The items are going to be on Twitch for now, and of course Twitch, if you're not playing Xayah, is the receiver of a few of those secondary AD items after Zippy has been fully itemized, depending on what version of Zippy you are actually playing. And if Leitzu is trying to play the comp that does not include Xayah at all, might just end up selling off this Twitch later on, replacing it and having those items onto a different carry.
I'm just going to toss some ideas out there and you tell me how viable they are. This Twitch has got to go, right? In the later stages of the game.
There have been versions of Guild Zippy you play with just not re-rolling Twitch, but if you find a lot of natural Twitches, you can just play a Twitch 3 as kind of a secondary backline carry. But in this case, it's a Twitch 1 still, so you're so far away. I think it's not really viable. You know, it's more kind of, oh, the game just gave me 7 Twitches naturally before I get to stage 4. Sure, I'll play a Twitch 3 and I'll give him some items. But this was more just to have the guarantee of the items from the gear upgrades. I think that's the main thing here.
Oh, wow.
And then just selling it off and transferring those items to a different carry.
So, David, you were coming into this one. I was asking you about compositions you think are going to be changing up the meta a little bit. You were like, Jade. And I was like, sure, buddy. We see a Jade emblem coming out here. So this could be the pivot. This could be the moment where you are, frankly, as usual, proven right.
I mean, is it really Jade, though? I think it's a Volibear as the main carry for now. It might become Jade, but when I said Jade, I was thinking more of Shioyu and Siphon, of, you know, Nar.
Look, we got time. We got time. We're almost headed into stage 4. We're not there yet, but we're looking for it. We got 2 players. We got a Jade emblem. We got a Jade heart. There's time.
I think the Jade was more the fact that they didn't really have better options. You're hoping for better toe mods at this point. You're hoping for, you know, a Guild emblem, for example. But in this case, Jade, on both sides of that fight, one with Shimmer Skill, one on this side with just the emblem. If you are going to be playing a Nar for now, maybe it's fine to have a somewhat of a power spec at 8. But I don't think Nar's going to be in this comp once you find maybe a Shyvana. You want to go the Shapeshifter angle or that Jace 2.
Wondering if at that point you just go the double dragon with Shyvana, Shioyu, see how you handle. Items not going to be fantastic, but might be able to finish out Bloodthirster or something. Ionic Spark going to be slammed down, and it will indeed be that Bloodthirster.
Biggest thing for now is just trying to get this Zippy 2 without rolling, because you kind of tanked the entirety of your econ after that carousel at 3-5 rolling down. You did hit big upgrades, but maybe not the one you wanted most, which is that Zippy 2. And now to get all the way back up to a nice econ to actually go 8 and have some gold to roll with, it's going to take a while. It's going to take most of stage 4, I think.
Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the board, we see Sestrino. We've gotten a little bit of update. Looks like he's sitting pretty there. Morellonomicon sitting on Swain with Celestial Blessing is a ton of healing, ton of damage across the board. As you can see him just tanking through the incidental damage he's taken so far.
This is one of the comps to look out for. Makes mentioned it in the top of show. Rengar is now finally in a very good spot for countless nerfs to Cannoneer, countless nerfs to Aphelios, and I think, rightful nerfs considering how strong that Darkflight comp was those first few weeks. But now all of a sudden you see Swain is able to stall for so long, and this gives enough time for Rengar and other assassins to just delete the entirety of the backline and then clean up that front line as well.
All right, last augment's coming in here, David. Everyone's going to be topping off their boards. What would you be picking here? Is it an Archives angle?
Big friend, stat-wise, a very good augment. Is Swain a big enough friend? I would imagine so in terms of his HP. Cutthroat, though, I think it was buffed in this patch, the last patch. Maybe I think so. I think I have a recollection of this happening. And that means that, you're playing Assassins. Is this finally the time to play Cutthroat? It hasn't been a viable pick in most of this at 7.5, but with the recent buff and with this being an Assassin, never mind. It's never Cutthroat.
That always feels bad as a caster where you're excited about something. You're like, here's the reasons this is exciting. It's going to be so cool when they fit. Well, it's the other one.
It used to be a good pick, 6.5, playing Talon. I played a lot of Cutthroat in my time on ladder, but not so much in set 7.
Still not finding the assassin angle we've all been hoping for.
This is the date I was talking about in Iberia. Items
we got there.
Slowly being slammed. Still 1-star dragon on the side of SH. Has a little while away to go, and he is level 8, but only has 10 gold to work with. So missing a few key upgrades. Has a Shyvana on the bench, but hoping to finalize these upgrades that he currently has on the board, and we'll see how good this comp can be. Stat-wise, it's risen to one of the top comps in this balance patch, and you're seeing why here. Even though it's only a Shioyu 1, it looks like it will still be a win for SH here.
Yeah, I was getting ready to talk about, well, it's only a Shio U 1, so maybe we're going to wait till that 2-star. But Sestrino's board, we've seen how powerful it is into his opponents so far. Still at the top of the ladder, but that Jade composition with just a 1-star carry was enough to take it down.
There is the fully
Darkest.
itemized Zipster, Sunfire, Hand of Justice, and the Titans Resolve. Definitely going to be a good pickup here. We're going to see what the transition will be here. Guild is fully in. We're going to get in the Nomzi.
Oh, Scalescorn's Queen coming out.
And right away,
she's immediately dead, but you know what? She was there.
we're learning about the animal kingdom, Niberia. Cats versus frogs. This is how it works, especially when there's two cats. The frog is doing his best, but I don't think this is the fight that it will end up winning. Zipster, though, versus the entirety of the field here. Swain able to sustain himself a little bit longer, but this Zippy, when fully itemized, is so strong. And it looks like a little bit too stronger. Is it going to be enough? It's going to be the final battle here. We can't see any health bars. We have no idea what's happening, Niberia. But Swain is strong enough to do it.
All right, well, Darkest board almost hanging on there. We'll get them item priority on this carousel. So, you know, little bit of a silver lining there, David.
There was the anti-heal though from Morello onto the Zippy, so that was probably a big deal as well. But looking down the player totals, the health totals for this.
Wait, what's up with Squug's items? Just 5 thieves.
I don't think that's actually the case. I don't think he has.
I kind of hope it is.
2.5 thieves
there's no shot.
Unslammed. He's waiting. Oh no, I'm gonna get other components to slam glove items, and definitely not thieves gloves with 5 gloves. I don't think it's the case.
It's not double thieves gloves. It's possible that he's the one with Pandora's bench, and he's just gotten really unlucky with the items. You know.
Could be. That's, you know, there's different theories
Fingers
going on
crossed.
right now. I'm sure the detectives in
really
chat will figure it out. Going back to Latesu, though, we saw him earlier on with that Jace 2. He was able to finally go level 8, but still does not have that Zippy 2. I think it goes to show how contested this unit might be in this current Game 1.
So unfortunately for us, it wasn't the 5 gloves, but it is going to be another Darkflight composition, and this means, of course, that Rengar 3 is going to be contested by both of our players here. Squig and Sestrino fighting over that tiny pool.
We'll see if this Swain is also going to be able to do enough here. It's going to be a close fight, but Yone is still... I was going to say swinging away, but it's more of a slashing away at his target. And I think Yone ramping up with the Rage Blade might be enough, but this Swain just does not want to die. Finally, he will. Rengar versus Yone. Yone just barely able to take it. So two of the comps we're seeing a lot of right now on 2 different boards, or I guess 3 of the comps. Zippy, the Jade Whispers comp we talked about, and also Rengar on 2 different boards. Comps that I expected to see some of in this tournament for sure. I think those are the newer comps that are now in the spotlight because other S-tier comps got nerfed. But surprising to see so much of them and so little of the other comps that we saw so much of in the last patch.
Yeah, and I especially want to focus on Waga's board as well, as someone who is... Oh, there we go. There's the Whispers you were talking about. But Waga, of course, coming in from that loss streak down to 64 HP, 61 HP now, has only taken 1 loss in the interim, and now is going in with this, like, Yone 2 carry all the way to stage 5. Just absolutely incredible turnaround. And he himself pivoting into that Jade composition.
It seems like everyone's just 1 upgrade away from actually stabilizing their board. We saw Zippy 1 away. We saw 2 Shio players that are missing 1 Shio. So players contesting each other is making it difficult for anyone to hit. We see a lot of Jaces being picked up as well, but only 1 player has that Jace 2 from early on, where Leite was able to find it in stage 3. We'll see how this fight ends up going. Zippy doing his best to run around, and this is a Zippy 2, so it will be a little bit stronger, but Yone still stacking those Rage Blade stacks, still dealing damage. I think the Zippy won't be able to do enough against the Yone, but I might be mistaken.
Oh, Zippy,
is pretty big.
Come on. 1 more. No! Zippy targeting!
Still no player dead, but Ice Loom is so close.
Oh my god, 2 HP.
His grave. Niberia, you mentioned the Italian players. You mentioned him right before the game started, and you cursed him, Niberia. Sorry to break it to you, but that's the whole reason.
Strikes again. And I think this is what we were talking about before. You know, when we have those double, triple contested compositions, finding those carries becomes so much more difficult. Only sitting on 6 gold left. Maybe a double Titans Resolve here.
But all of a sudden, I blessed him by bringing his name back into the
Oh.
conversation, finds the Shioyu 2,
Maybe sell and double buy.
the Titan Resolve as well. I like this as well, transferring the items. So much armor, so much AD as these Titan Resolve both stack up for Ice Loom, and still missing the Siphon upgrades, but this Shioyu 2 is going to be hard to deal with for sure in the next few fights.
Yeah. Maybe looking to just slam those items as well. You've got a potential redemption BT slam there. Itemize that Shioyu, or rather the Siphon, with everything you've got and try and survive. At this point, Ice Loom is very likely no longer playing for a first, just playing to not get 8th.
Could have sold one of the Shiyoyus though to guarantee the Hodge on the healing as well on the Shiyoyu. Probably better than just the 2 Titans, but it has been locked in. Now you cannot do anything about it unless you get a remover later on into the game, which is maybe unlikely, but we'll see if this Shioyu with this current item build is going to do enough. The Zippy, his time to shine is past. Shioyu's onto him. He was great in stage 4, stage 5 now, up against the Shioyu 2. It's going to be a little bit harder to really shine here, and that does get taken down. Bard as well. And this Namzi, I think, is an interesting addition from Darkest, but not going to be quite enough. Ice Loom stays alive. Darkest falls down to 7 HP.
It feels like Darkest board just isn't stalling long enough for Namzi's damage to be relevant. Now that Zippy has kind of fallen off in the later stages, we talked about how strong he can be in the earlier stages, kind of bridging to that late stage. But this is the reason that you see most people either 3-starring him or replacing him with something like a Shyvana. Once he gets to those later stages, the damage, the tankiness, neither of them can really compete.
I do love this addition of the Namzi onto this board with just the AP items. You need to itemize something, and we talked about it. You can kind of build any dragon alongside this guild comp, alongside Zippy. Namzi was not what I had in mind, but I guess it is also a viable solution
is a dragon.
with this current game that Darkest is playing.
I really like the pickup of the Radiant Shroud as well. Incredibly strong item, but unfortunately, missing the Ao Shin in the back. This is not looking good here for Darkest.
There's a Psalm we saw a lot of in the last patch. Not so much in this game, but there is at least one player running. It has a Morelos, has the Radiant Chojin as well, but Zippy
Darkest
does not care. And Darkest might be able to stay alive, might be able to deal a whole lot of damage to Mujiwara here, down to 37 HP for him.
Ice Loom will finally fall here. Not quite. 1 HP, the last stand. We're good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what Last Stand is going to do here. Buffs a lot of stats. One of them I want to highlight really quick is Omnivamp. With the first aid kit as well as Last Stand, the units here for Ice Loom are going to be healing a lot. This should propel his board into a better state and should compensate for the fact that the Shioyu doesn't have any healing items. However,
Rengar 3 is online, and that is going to be one of the stronger boards right now. Also, the HP leader, so all of a sudden, the German player is looking very, very good for a top 4, and maybe very good for a win as well.
This is really unfortunate, though, because there was nothing on bench that only takes 1 slot. He's working with 7 instead of 8 units, so we'll see how it goes against Darkest board. This is potential elimination for them as we see the Rengar diving into the backline directly onto that Namzi. Everyone, that's how the food chain works. Cats eat frogs all the time. Unfortunately, Zippy, last one standing, barely can't do it, and Darkest will fall out in last place.
And Darkest there, dying to a player that's only playing 7 out of the 8 units. Must not feel good in terms of the board strength there, but 2 players get taken down, Ice Loom and Darkest. 7th and 8th in this game 1, and we are now halfway through stage 5, 6 players still alive. Overall, Darkflight and Rengar looking very good. Both Q and Sastrino, both playing Darkflight, both now currently in the top 3.
Man, David, I want to come in here and I want to be looking at Last Stand. It's an exciting augment. I want to be able to say that it's good. I want to be able to say that it has impact, but we're sitting here and it changed absolutely nothing.
There's a reason I never picked in Iberia. This is the reason. I see it in the tournament.
This is why I've never picked it either. I'm just like, what are the odds that this actually helps me? So far, competitive.
Finally did find the Zippy 2. Took a long time, but is here, and did find the Gnar 2. Gnar recently buffed. Usually I would joke about the power spike, but this might actually be one now with the stat buffs that Gnar was able to get in this last 12.19 patch. Xayah 1 though, not where you want to be. Almost going into stage 6.
Can take a loss here, though. So if it's not too bad of a loss, can make it all the way into that PvE round and hope to hit some of those upgrades. Xayah is super crucial, and we see that Radiant Warmogs on Sestrino's Swain, making it so incredibly tanky. But his Rengar, not doing a ton of damage, barely survives. I think that will be enough for the Swain to pop off. And as I say that, it's the caster curse once again, David.
The Swain without the HP bar, but I think Swain might be able to do it.
We just gotta guess.
The Radiant item, when you can find that like perfect Radiant item for one of your carries, either defensive or offensive carries, it feels so good going to stage 5 when you have that Radiant Dragon. And that's the case there where it just synergizes so well. It's just going to be really, really hard to kill that Swain at any point in this game now. And late 2, the Xayah 2 is really the only upgrade Soraka 2 as well. We're seeing here the chance for Siphon 2, if he's ever upgraded, to come online. For now, it's going to be Graves 2 instead.
I like this. I like this a lot just because you have some kind of carry. Something we talked about Zippy as well. Really just want to take whatever you can get that gives you as much board strength as possible for the time being. But potential elimination round here for Waga.
We're going to see this fight now against the first, or not the first man, but the second place in this current HP leaderboard. Going to be skewed with a Dark Flight combo, the Rengar 3 especially. Maybe if he's able to go 9, he's able to get a bit more of a power spike, but for now the Rengar seems to not quite do enough. The Graves strong enough to clean up most of the board. Swain still trying to stay alive, trying to do his best, but not going to be enough. A whole lot of damage coming in from Waga, and the German on German battle there ends up leaving Waga alive in this game. Currently 5th at 11 HP. Leitsu down to 10 HP and almost knocked out as well.
Yeah, everyone survives through this round, though, and that means that PvE is coming up and they all get a chance back into the game. If they find the right items here, guarantees them a couple more rounds, and SH just going to stack a double Titan's Resolve here.
Still a lot of gold to work with. This is a very, very good spot for this player. Going to slowly be able to get enough econ to go level 9. Still wants to hit that Pantheon too. Maybe ends up rolling instead of if he thinks he would rather have that immediate power spike and doesn't really have enough time to go 9. But for now, with a 5 win streak, I think that the game is telling him, hey, you're strong enough. Try and go 9. Try and get the highest cap possible, and try and go for a first instead of a 4th.
Yeah. That's going to be an important theme as we keep going for today. You're going to be watching for players who are saying, okay, I'm in a good enough position that I can tank this HP for the time being. I've got a win streak. I've got plenty of gold. If I take 4 losses in a row, whatever, because my goal is not just doing well enough. It's doing the best I can.
SH might have considered holding the Siphon there, but Waga just hit the Siphon too. We saw 2 players go level 9 as well, Sestrino and Mujiwara. So a lot of players have gotten stronger in this last upgrade round from the PvE. And we'll see now if the fights differ, if the lose streaks and the win streaks maybe change completely. SH has to try and hold on. Maybe 1 or 2, ideally more fights, and then we'll be able to go 9. But facing off now against that newly upgraded Siphon 2, the Graves items have shifted from that Graves onto the Siphon carry now. And we'll see which of these 2 boards is stronger right now going to stage 6.
So far, the Pantheon stalling out really well, but here comes the Siphon into the backlines with that Radiant Quicksilver, just firing away and doing so much damage. There is no way this Xiaoyu survives against the onslaught. And for one more round, Waga stays in game number 1, our final Golden Spatula Cup.
And it goes to show, he won pretty handily against Skew earlier on with that Graves carry. Now all of a sudden he actually has the comp he was going for online with the Siphon 2 instead. And he's looking pretty strong as well.
Yeah, SH here is going to have a lot of power in their bank as well, but we're waiting until that final level here. Taking a loss does kind of put a wrench into things. 52 gold, but after Carousel should have that opportunity to level on 6-5 and try and find something else to cap out their board. Not just an upgrade for the Pantheon, but an extra unit to try and put them over the top as we swap over to Waga's Jade-focused board.
And Waga has Prep 2 as well, has Celestial Blessing 2, so very good combat augments coming into these, last few fights where everyone has reached their caps, and really the augments might be the difference maker in some of these fights. Gonna be the case here, facing off against AP in this case. The Psalm still relatively untouched in that backline, but Siphon is looking for one more juicy bite. I think Psalm might be the target. Will actually not get hit there. The Psalm popping off. The Paradox pops off as well. Oh,
no!
Still Siphon wins it. Oh no, you had so much time to work with Psalm.
so close, but some just not pumping out enough damage. But by a small margin. Let's be clear, that fight could go either way based on the positioning. So Waga not out of danger just yet, but maintaining that health, maintaining those win streaks to the point where we've got now 3 players below 20 HP and 4 at 20 HP or lower. So this top 4 very much in anyone's hands at this point.
This maybe goes to show the Darkflight comms with Rengar, really good in stages 4 and 5. They hit their peak. Now all of a sudden, they're not as strong as other capped out wards, and suddenly Sastrino and Skew are both falling off. Sastrino might be eliminated in this round. It's going to be Waga against this Rengar 3 against the Swain, but I think right now Waga is one of the strongest players in this game, and I think this might not be the end for Skew just yet. He is at 20 HP, but it might be close. Rengar taken down here and Swain by himself. No longer the 1v5 he was 2 stages ago.
Yeah. Skew's board is not strong enough to survive, and neither is he getting taken out. We have our top 4, but one more elimination is possible. Sastrino just that Swain surviving, and against the onslaught of the entire board of Mujiwara, he and his board fall, and we have our top 3.
Both Darkflight players taken down in 4th and 5th. Not a terrible start to the tournament. You do add some points onto your standings. Of course, only half of these players make it to day 2. So you don't have to have the absolute best day of TFT in your life to make it to day 2, just a good enough. So it's not a bad start. For Iceloom and Darkest, a little bit more worrying though. But for Mujiwara, first ever Egyptian player in Golden Spatula Cup right now, leading this lobby with 39 HP. But the Jade Whispers players are fighting for that spot, are trying to win it themselves.
Yeah, we're looking at a strong position here as well from Waga. I think this is the board that's in the best spot right now. You can see what he's hoping for at this point. He's not rolling down because there's very few upgrades that he can actually hit. He's just hoping to be able to find enough wins to hit level 9 and try and go for that first place spot.
4 win streak now, still missing that Gnar upgrade, but as you mentioned before, Celestial Blessing 2, Prep 2, fantastic combat augments that might decide a lot of these fights. The targeting though from Xiaoyu and from Siphon will also decide a lot of what goes down in this mirror match, essentially. We're going to see how it ends up happening. Still, most of the dragons are alive. Siphon doing its thing as well on either side of the board, but now, finally, Pantheon's still alive, and he is massive as well.
He's taken so many stacks, just healing up massively from that ultimate, and it's enough to tank through the entirety of Waga's board, guaranteeing him 2nd place so far for SH. And Mujiwara also took a loss that game, meaning he was playing against one of these ghosts, and I suspect, based on that game, it was SH's.
Trying to go for the Psalm 3 win condition. Still fairly far away. Trade sector will help, but I don't think there's quite enough time to get more value from this augment than you've gotten throughout the entirety of this game, and also not quite enough gold to go for this Psalm 3. So this might be it. This might be the highest cap that Mujiwara can go for. Both players level 9. Both players have hit the entirety of their board, just missing a few key upgrades like that Soraka 2, like that Yasuo 2.
Looking now for that 3-star, hoping to cap it out, but on the other side, SH did pick up that Bard 2, looking for the ultimate, going to land on the Psalm, spelling danger here for Mujiwara's board as we see the Pantheon firing away once more with the spears left and right. Sohm down, the ultimate from Zoe saves him for the time being, and another invulnerability. Finally, the tankiest Pantheon this side of the Atlantic gets taken down. There goes the Xiaoyu, a sliver of health. Zoe with the Ivern spawn, just the autos. The Shiv is gonna do it, and SH falls down to just 13 HP.
The spotlight on this fight changed like 7 different times. You thought it was Siphon, then you thought it was Psalm, you thought it was Xiaoyu, but all of a sudden Zoe and Daisy are the ones to do it. They win the fight for Mujiwara. Dominant win for him. Close win though, very, very close. It came down to maybe even just fight RNG from the different targeting. We saw Siphon kind of whiff past the Psalm entirely on one of those last few chomps.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to argue that it was Static Shiv MVP. Just really pumping out that extra damage for the Zoe. An incredibly close fight. SH going to be able to pick up a Bloodthirster here. Not a whole lot to put it on though. All of the carries seem to be itemized in this composition, but has picked up a Yasuo, which would be a great holder.
Another Psalm from Mujiwara now has 6 copies, maybe 7 if he finds more on the roll down. No extra upgrades just yet for SH. We saw Zephyr picked up by Mujiwara though. Zephyr and Shroud, universally known as some of the best late game items because how much they can change the outcome of a fight, especially if you're able to throw up in the air a unit like Siphon, a unit like Shio-Yu, even maybe that Pantheon. Yeah. Any one of those units might be pivotal in changing the outcome of this fight, or at least guaranteeing the same outcome, which was the win and possible game win for Mujiwara.
You want to be watching this Sohm, you want to be watching this bar in the back line of this fight.
Shio-Yu up into the air. We'll see now all the cast coming through. Psalm trying to chip away at backline, at frontline, and pretty much everything, but mostly just trying to dodge the Siphon bite. Siphon running into the wrong direction, thrown up into the air by Zoe, and not going to do quite enough in this fight. It's all about Shio-Yu, but Shio-Yu was in the air for the first 8 seconds of the fight, and I think it's not going to be enough, especially with the Paradox as well. The different CC coming out from Zoe. Is it going to be enough? Shio-Yu is now onto the main backline carriage, but still so much HP from the Soraka, and that will be it. Game 1 will go to Mujiwara. What a fantastic result for this player on their Golden Spatula Cup debut. And I imagine our future co-caster in day 3, Morgan, must be incredibly happy to see an Egyptian player popping off